Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to take a look at 4 brand new manga that I've recently read, 4 new number 1s, courtesy of Yen Press. They sent in these for review, and I was happy to oblige. The first one that we're going to talk about is Brunhild, the Dragon Slayer. This is based on a light novel of the same name, and it is from Yuiko Agarizaki with art by Takeru Kirishima, character designs by Ao Aso. In this manga, we follow a different alternate reality where Eden from biblical lore is actually set in Earth in an island, and in it live all kinds of creatures. It's all extremely peaceful, and they are guarded by a dragon. He is tasked by God to protect this land and its creatures, as well as the tree and fruit knowledge. And occasionally throughout the millennia, people venture into this island to try and steal the fruit of knowledge, and the dragon, of course, is in charge of putting a stop to that. When the story begins, such an event takes place, and after the massacre that occurred as the dragon killed everybody and protected the island from the intruders, he finds that one stowaway girl survived, and she is covered in the dragon's blood. It is said that if you ingest the blood, you will gain power equal to the dragon, infinite strength and endurance and all kinds of supernatural abilities. Now, this young girl doesn't have a name at first, but she decides that she doesn't want to go back and wants to stay with the dragon, wants to stay in this island where everything is so idyllic and peaceful, no wars, and everyone just gets along. If by any chance the dragon would fall, the whole island would perish alongside him. Every other animal would turn to ash, including the fruit of knowledge. So the young girl decides to stay. The dragon, out of curiosity, accepts because he notices that if there are, for example, 100 people that come in contact with a dragon and the blood, 99 of them will die and only 1 will survive. So the odds are very slim, and it's practically a miracle that this young girl survived. So he takes this opportunity to raise the girl as his own. Now, one of the defining moral points of this book is what would happen if the island were to fall, and we do get an answer to that. But the most important aspect is that first of all, the dragon wants to send the kid to live with regular humans, to be with her own kind, and not have to experience the fate that awaits the island of Eden. The girl doesn't see it that way. She wants to stick by his side and protect its inhabitants. The dragon knows that he is following the teachings of God, and if he is to fall, then it would be just another process of life, as they would just disintegrate into ash and they would ascend towards heaven and not have to worry about anything else, because they would have a guaranteed afterlife. Whereas the humans will, of course, be in conflict with each other, and the girl is having a tough time following the dragon's beliefs as well as that spirituality. She's more about the immediate danger that the humans might present. Now, one thing that surprised me in this first volume is that I thought it was just going to be like medieval inspired, I guess because there's a freaking dragon in the manga. But as soon as the island gets invaded, we see that humans have evolved, and it's much more similar to 1940s to 1960s weaponry when it comes to battleships and cannons and all that stuff. So long story short, without really ruining everything, it is part of the pitch for the manga, so it's not a huge spoiler. This is Brunhild, the Dragon Slayer. Brunhild, the young girl, she's now, I believe, a teenager. 16, 17, something like that. And with this invasion that happens to Eden, the dragon successfully defends the island, but succumbs to the weaponry of the empire or whatever nation is attacking, and they all turn to ash. So now Brunhild has a question. Does she stay the course of righteousness, or will she walk a path of vengeance? Will she go after all these human characters? And that sets the stage for the rest of the story. story, which is pretty cool. I really enjoyed the art. I think it's great. It looks fantastic. It's well defined. There's a lot of attention to detail with the action, the scenes with the dragon, the beauty of this majestic mythical creature flying around, or just simply having a conversation with the main protagonist, or having the young girl experience life outside the island for the first time as they venture into the human realm for a minute to see what it's all about. Is those moments, those quieter moments that really do a good job of fleshing out these characters, not just from their idyllic setting, but putting them boots on the ground, if you will, and making them a lot more believable. The main bad guy for this, I won't reveal what it is, but I think it's going to be interesting moving forward to see the relationship between, of course, the main hero and the main bad guy. I am looking forward to Volume 2. I didn't know what I was getting into. I just knew it was about dragons and some type of dragon slaying. But yeah, definitely enjoyed the heck out of this one, especially for the cool visuals when it comes to dragons. The next one on the list is Mono by Afro, Volume 1. This one is an ongoing 4-koma comedy series. Afro is the same mangaka that created the much beloved Laid Back Camp that has a huge following and fan base online and offline as well. This one is slightly different, but still shares a lot of common themes with Laid Back Camp. In this one, we follow the character of Satsuki Amamiya. She recently joined the photography club at her school because she was following her senpai. She was a huge fan of her. Unfortunately, she just recently graduated, so our main character doesn't know what to do. She's inherited a photography club that has no members aside from her best friend An Kiriyama, and at some point at the start of the manga they get the news that the club is going to be shut down because they can't afford to just keep it open for 2 students and nobody's signing up to join the photography club. So desperate to find a solution, they start venturing around, and I guess I should have mentioned before that they started getting some cameras to start shooting 360-degree fisheye lens pictures and panorama shots and stuff like that. Then they get the notice of eviction, if you will. So desperate to find a solution, they had previously met up with a character called Haruno Akiyama, who happened to be a mangaka that is trying to create a brand new series after her latest work got canceled because of low sales. So they suggest creating a 4-koma series. So as you can see, the manga gets a little meta as you have a character in the story creating the same format that this manga is written in, and with very similar themes, as the character of Haruno decides to use the journey of these 2 girls as inspiration for her comedic 4-koma series. Several other characters do show up, and eventually we find out about Sakurako Shikishima. She was the head of the film study group, which is basically a film group, and they suffered a similar fate with low attendance and members, so that club is getting shut down. After meeting each other, they decide to unite the photography club and the film study group, becoming the Cine Photo Club. Hope I pronounced that right. It's a little bit of a tongue twister. So essentially, we follow this group of girls as they're trying to revive this club. They take to the streets, or I guess the beautiful countryside of Japan, and they're going to document their journey, capturing all the sights and using all the tech that they can with the cameras and stuff to just record and have fun. This is a slice of life manga. It's comedy based. There's not a huge plot where you can say there are ups and downs. You're going in for the ride of these girls just living their high school life. One of the cooler aspects about this 4-koma series, which I do have to mention, I am typically not the biggest fan of this format. It's fine, but I would rather read a regular manga instead. This one, with it dealing with a mangaka in the story, she does get a little meta as she's trying to explain how 4-koma panels work. So I thought that was pretty insightful for someone that's reading it for the first time and getting to know the layout of starting in one column and then switching over to the next one. And there's always a punch towards the bottom panel that leads into the next scene. Now, sometimes it gets very clever in that there's a particular scene at the beginning where the characters take a snapshot, a 360-degree selfie in a restaurant, and you see the motion of them taking the picture, and as you flip the page, you get the cool reveal of seeing the full splash page of the girls with the picture. That was awesome. So that level of interactiveness when it comes to the manga layout, I guess, from Afro is really good. If you like stuff like laid back camp, this is in that style. It's more laid back, no pun intended. The characters are pretty humorous. I enjoyed the banter between the main cast and how they're just experiencing all these amazing things and new sights and sounds and new friends, while also going off on a journey and documenting nature through the lens of a camera. I do like the art. It's simple but effective. The character designs are well drawn, and the vistas and panoramas are spectacular as well. Afro does a really good job. Again, if you've read Laid Back Camp, you know what you're getting yourself into. At the beginning, you do have some really nice colored pages that are the photographs that the characters take, which looks really good and makes it a much more immersive experience, like I said before. So definitely do highly recommend Mono. I thought it was great, really cozy too, so pick it up if you get a chance. The War of Greedy Witches, 32 of the Wickedest Women Duel to the Death. This was recommended to me long before this book was sent out, and I was already looking forward to reading it, and it just so happens that I got a review copy, which is fantastic. Thank you so much, Yen Press. And I should mention that the story is written by Homura Kawamoto with art by Makoto Shiozuka. So what the heck is this about? Think Fate's Day Night meets Record of Ragnarok, and you get a really stylized and super badass manga where 32 witches are summoned to another plane of existence to fight it out. The winner will get their deepest desire turned real, and that is the central theme, I guess, for this manga. We do have a main protagonist, we do have a main character, and she happens to be Joan of Arc, or Jeanne d'Arc, or if you're like me, Juana de Arco. I know the character through 3 languages, so excuse me if I pronounce it a little bit differently. I kept having to remember, like, oh, this is the French pronunciation, not the English or Spanish. Okay, so long story short, we follow Joan of Arc as she is put to the stake and betrayed by her country and sentenced to die and all that stuff. And at that precise moment, time stops, and these 2 succubus type demons, little girls appear, and they offer Joan a way out to reach for her true potential and acquire her deepest desire. So she does accept, thinking that her life has been nothing but combat, so what's one more fight going to do? So she is spirited away from Earth and is in what I assume the demon realm, and there is this main girl. She's the bad guy. She summoned every other character, and it turns out that they're all historical characters, and that is really awesome. That's why I love Record of Ragnarok so much, just the fantasy aspect of having these historical figures duking it out in over-the-top crazy anime battles, and we get that here as well. One of the characters that made me laugh out loud, it was still pretty badass, but I was not expecting that reinterpretation, was Marie Antoinette and how she gains her witch's ability. It turns out like somebody will have the desire for torture or the desire for combat or the desire for knowledge, that sort of thing. That fuels essentially their mana or magic, and I guess they can materialize that into the real world using it as special abilities or magic spells, that sort of thing. Now the list of the tournament is pretty insane. You get a really cool splash page of the tournament bracket, and you see characters that never in my wildest dream would I think would be in a Japanese manga. Characters like Mary Read, Marie Antoinette, Mary Curie, Orihime, Bonnie Parker, Amelia Earhart, Florence Nightingale, and so on and so forth. The list is pretty crazy. So they're going to hold a tournament similar to Record of Ragnarok, except the world is not at stake. It's just the actual women themselves. And the sad thing is, if they lose, they will have a permanent death. Their souls will be erased. There's no afterlife for them, no reincarnation, no nothing. So there's a lot at stake there for the main character. Joan decides that she doesn't really have a desire of her own because all her life she's just been defending something, and now faced in this scenario, she's going to have to look within herself and realize, what do I actually desire? Now that I have this extraordinary second chance at life, if you will, what can I do to change things? And we get the first fight in the tournament, Tomoe Gozen versus Elizabeth Bathory. Probably mispronounced that. That one is a super interesting combat. I'm not going to reveal what happens in that one. I thought it was great. The action's intense and the art looks great. If you like darker, more gritty action, seinen type stories, I think you'll be right at home here with the War of Greedy Witches. So I definitely am looking forward to Volume 2. Can't wait to see what happens in the fight, and of course the other tournament fighters as well. And I can't wait to see Joan of Arc throwing down against other women. That's going to be pretty badass and epic. So yeah, had a lot of fun with this one. The pacing is super quick and the dialogue is fast. The story beats just click one after the other, but you're going to have a fun time regardless. And last but not least, we got this chonker of a book. This is drawn by Tsukumo Asakusa with original story by Satoshi Wakahara and character designs by Ako Arisaka. So Dracula's on the Night Shift is a 3-in-1 released here as an omnibus, if you will. And the story is about vampires. Now, these vampires are weak to sunlight. They don't necessarily die because of the sun. They'll get turned to ash, and it's what happens to those ashes later that determines their fate, if they stay alive or not, that sort of thing. So the main protagonist is working at a convenience store in Ikebukuro. One day he's out drinking with his coworker, and it's a little bit too late. It's almost 5 o'clock and sunrise about to start. So he tries to hurry back home to evade the sunlight, and in the way he spots a young girl being attacked by this mob of office workers, thinking it's probably an assault or violence. He goes to stop them, and it turns out one of them is a vampire controlling the other characters. They get into a scuffle, and it turns out the young girl can defend herself with a giant silver hammer. And further shenanigans later, we find out that she's actually part of the Dark Cross Knights, a religious sect that is in charge of protecting the world from these monstrous paranormal type creatures. However, this young girl has an issue. She sort of has a phobia to human males, and she's just been transferred to Japan and doesn't really know her way around the city. She just happened to stumble upon the vampire she was pursuing and got attacked. Our main protagonist, Yura Toraki, does not make it in time. Sunrise happens, and he gets turned to ash, but gives the young girl named Iris his info, as well as his wallet and stuff, so that she could take care of his ashes, acting on good faith. She does, and brings back the ashes to his apartment, where he's able to regenerate himself, basically. And the adventure kicks off from there. The main character still works at a convenience store, so it's part slice of life, part intriguing action mystery. The character of Iris is trying to learn more about the vampires in Japan, and there are bad guys roaming around, as well as different type of creatures, werewolf type monsters, etc., etc. I thought this one was pretty great. It brings a lot of humor. It's a one and done story, so all you need is this one big book. The art is really sharp, clean. I like the character designs, and when they show the monstrous side of things, it looks really badass as well. The relationship between the two leads is pretty wholesome. There are certainly some funny, wacky moments, but some tender, wholesome ones as well, as the two start to get to know each other. At first, they're a little bit at odds with each other because our main character just wants to continue working and not be involved with any cross nights or any potential danger, while also searching for clues that relate to his past that I don't necessarily want to reveal in this video. And Iris, she starts to learn more about our main protagonist, but also about working for the cross knights in Japan and learning about the bad guys obviously roaming around. I did enjoy the humor. It's not overly slapstick, but certainly fits for the style and tone that they're going with, sort of this mashup of action comedy with tints of horror sprinkled throughout. It's a fairly quick read with a lot of badass action moments that I think you're gonna like if you're into the whole supernatural aspect like I am, so that was definitely a plus. This was easily my favorite of the whole bunch. Actually, the 4 volumes that I read are pretty great if you ask me. So there it is, 4 new volume 1s, or actually 3 volume 1s. The other one's a complete 3-in-1, but you get the idea, sort of my first impressions, early reviews on these books. What about you guys? Have you read any of them? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you haven't, recommend me stuff that's similar. You know, dragons, witches, vampires, that sort of thing. So that is going to be it for now. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, and being a part of Manga Geekdom. I truly do appreciate it. Stay safe, everybody. God bless. I will catch all of you on the next one.